You guys are not going to believe this, but we have an imposter. The reason why I say this because she cannot be Ashlee's friend. They are saying that in this video, Ashlee has a friend that's coming out and pretty much is siding with Joe and just saying so many horrible things. I just can't believe it. So I want you guys to make sure you guys like, share, subscribe here at this Juicy Leaks TV. We have been doing a phenomenal job with growing as a platform, and I owe it all to you all. So I urge you guys to keep the comments going, liking the video, keep liking the video. Make sure you keep on subscribing to this YouTube channel, the Juicy Leaks TV. I am your host, Gigi, and let's hear what they have to say. Are you guys ready? Let's take it from the back.
It quite convenient that just as Joe McCann continues to get the heat about the death of Ashlee Jenae, suddenly there's a Miami stripper who comes out of nowhere to expose Ashlee's supposed secret life. The timing is way too convenient, and people are starting to smell a rat. Like, could this be a calculated smear campaign orchestrated by someone? I mean, if they make the world see Ashlee as a secret escort instead of a happy bride-to-be, it does make the claim that she took her life easier for people to believe. But ask yourself this, who actually benefits from this narrative right now? Because from where we're sitting, it looks like a desperate move to flip the script and get people scrutinizing Ashlee's past rather than uncovering the truth about what really happened. Honestly, I hoped that we would have gotten answers about this case by now, but it looks like there are still theatrics going on, so let's get into it. So the thing is, apparently, there's this Miami stripper who is now saying that Ashlee lived a double life, and she's allegedly confirming that Ashlee had a second IG page that was dedicated to her being a stripper and a service girl, which was taken down. Now, I have not seen screenshots or anything from a second account, but what I did notice is that her active account has very few posts, which to some people could possibly mean that there was indeed another account where she posted other content, especially considering her Twitter account is full of some very spicy videos. Allegedly, this Miami stripper is also saying that she can confirm that Ashlee was a bottle girl at DAER South in Miami, Florida, where she possibly met some of her alleged clients. And if you look at Ashlee's page, you will realize that she wasn't actually selling products like a normal influencer. She was selling a lifestyle that didn't seem to have a clear source of income. Well, as much as her friends have come out to say that Ashlee had a hair care brand and she was actually doing pretty well, but if Ashlee was doing so well, where are the sales? Where are the ads? Why wasn't she posting about the products on her page? Honey, I know that a lot has already been said about Ashlee from other people, including from some. So I'll say it. Ashlee may be an influencer now, but everyone in Miami knows she was a stripper. Joe met her at a party she was literally working the pole at. She danced in his section, and ever since, they've kind of gone around the world fighting in luxury hotels for the last year and a half. This wasn't even the first time they became engaged. It was the second. It's also not the first time the police were called to break up one of their fights. He is currently the subject of a financial crime investigation. He was taking profits from investments that were actually at a loss for years, and got caught out there for doing it. He's rich, janky, older, has a massive power imbalance with her, and in my opinion, picked her because of that. Who knows what happened that night? May she rest in peace and may her family find the truth. But this was 100% a very openly sugar baby on steroids situation. Source: I know them personally, and we have many mutual friends. However, I still feel like the fact that the escort narrative is being pushed so much is a distraction from what really happened, especially from a stripper I can't even verify. This could literally be anyone who has been paid to push this narrative, and it's actually beginning to look like these secret escort rumors are being used to smear Ashlee's character so people don't fight as hard for justice because they're saying, oh, she was an escort, so of course her life was messy. But of course, her supporters aren't having it, and they're arguing that even if she had a second life, she was clearly happy and planning a future, which makes the unaliving claim even harder to swallow. The streets are basically saying that whether she was an influencer, an escort, or both, the math isn't adding up, and Joe has a lot more explaining to do. Also, think about it. What if Joe is low-key feeding the blogs this narrative to save his own skin? Like, if he can make everyone believe Ashlee was living this dark, secret life, it makes his story about her being mentally unstable or unpredictable easier to sell. And honestly, by pushing this second life story, he's creating a massive smokescreen. And instead of everyone asking why why the local medical records mention strangulation. They're busy debating what she did for a living. Maybe he even paid the stripper to fuel the narrative further and make the angle more credible. But I personally cannot ignore that there have been a couple of things that have come up over the last few days about Joe, like how he had anger issues, how they fought since they landed in Zanzibar, how he took so much time to inform the family about what was happening, how he allegedly left Ashlee in the villa to go and be with other local women, and how he possibly took a policy on her. Now, we've already talked about how Joe has a big crypto fund called Asymmetric, which is running in the negative. That is millions and millions of dollars just gone. Then, almost immediately after the fund crashed, he announced a new plan to raise $1.5 billion for a company called Accelerate. What people are saying is that for him to get a large amount of money without any suspicion, he took out a policy on Ashlee, proposed in a high-visibility way to prove the relationship was perfect, and then had a tragedy occur in a foreign country with different legal standards. Baby, it also doesn't help that the family said they first learned something was wrong when Joe McCann called to say Ashlee was in the hospital, but details were limited. The mom said she asked him when it happened and where it happened, and he told her that something had occurred 11 hours prior to when he was reaching out to her. They said communication then stopped, and the next update came from the hotel, which informed them their daughter had died, and they have never heard from Joe since. No condolences, no participation in the funeral arrangements, no updates on what's going on because he's still in Zanzibar. Nothing. Well, the assumption is that Joe paid the staff and the authorities in Zanzibar, and that's why there have been no criminal charges against him, even though everything literally points to him. In fact, let me just paint a picture for y'all so that you understand exactly what we are dealing with here. See, news of Ashlee was reportedly withheld from the public for 4 days, and no internal media platform dared to provide coverage because it was forbidden. Some controlled reports were only released after the incident got traction from international news sources, and there were still a lot of inconsistencies. The only official report they gave is that Ashlee and Joe had an argument that led to them being separated into different rooms that were 8 to 10 minutes away. Then, on the day Ashlee was found, one of the attendants was doing his evening rounds when he visited Villa number 25 where Ashlee was staying, and she told him that she needed a phone charger. The attendant gave Ashlee his phone charger and then proceeded to Villa 24 and 26, but Ashlee had told him to come back after about 10 minutes. According to what the director of criminal investigations said, the attendant went back after about 20 minutes. He knocked on the door, there was no answer, and all the lights were turned off, and he used his emergency key to open the door. Based on the report, that's when he discovered Ashlee suspended from the internal wardrobe hanging rod using a gray bathrobe belt. Apparently, at the time, she was still alive but struggling, so he raised the alarm, and they rushed Ashlee to the nearest hospital. Then, after initial treatment, Ashlee was transferred to another hospital for specialized care, but she passed on the next day, at about 3 p.m. Since this initial report, there have been no more updates, even though we know the autopsy was done a couple of days ago. So, what people think is Joe paid them to sanitize the autopsy report, making it seem like Ashlee really took her own life. Personally, I'm still struggling to understand how Ashlee managed to tie herself inside the wardrobe in the dark, because the report was that the lights were off when the attendant walked in. Also, can a person just really die like that from a wardrobe? Something just doesn't add up. And until I see actual footage of a conversation between Ashlee and the attendant, and an actual exchange of the phone charger, and evidence that nobody walked in and out of her room, I don't believe any of it. Also, why are they treating the autopsy report like it's a secret? Ashlee's father, Harry Robinson, confirmed that an autopsy was completed on April 14th, but the family has faced agonizing limbo while waiting for the full written report and the release of her body to be returned to the United States. So you see why Ashlee's supporters are convinced that this escort narrative is being pushed as a distraction? Because there's so much that doesn't make sense. And if people keep focusing on Ashlee's past rather than her death,